Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this narration of the web series The Nature of Predators. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 100. Memory transcription subject Chief Hunter Isif, Arxor Dominion Sector Fleet. Date, Standardized Human Time, December 6, 2136. The Prophet Descendant had grown irritated, and Shazar's spectacle dragged on at Silas. The female chief hunter had failed to mop up the human remnants. She had sacrificed her entire sector and not even taken the planet she'd lost her assets to capture. So when Giznell summoned me to a physical location, I figured that it was for my input on that debacle. What else could be too sensitive to discuss on comms? Before I returned to my duties, I passed through Jones's tooth drive. The human general had included instructions on how to search for bugs. I turned my shuttle upside down before retrieving my secret holopad. My defective sight compelled me to answer Falra, who had been persistent in checking in on me. We ended up chatting for hours. The Dosar discussed her favorite celebrity, her day's training to be a ship inspector, and how the war affected her, among other topics. Falra was unfazed by my non-answers. If anything, it seemed to encourage her noisiness. The prospect of discussing my life made me feel fraudulent and exposed. How could I ever explain anything genuine about myself? By the way, I'm an Arxor chief responsible for the deaths of millions. Don't mind that. The Doser sent me a request for a video chat, and that paralyzed me in my seat. Just when I'd begun to ease my guard, there was the reminder that the friendship was impossible. I told her that I was on my way to meet my boss, which, I suppose was true. Farah, damn her, pleaded that a few minutes would make a day. Why wasn't I able to refuse that request? It took me a few seconds to set my video to off and apply a voice modulator filter to my audio. This was all going to come to an end when she asked why I switched off my camera and disguised my voice. There was no prey-like explanation to that effect. Siffy! Oh, the young dosser with ginger and white fur blinked onto my screen. Where's your video? You can't be that ugly, man. I showed my face. I drew a shuddering breath. Laura, I don't know how to say this. Robotic voice, okay? Not gonna lie, this is creepy. Are you actively hiding everything about yourself or trying to be weird? It's better if the camera is off, and if you don't hear my real voice. I'm a predator. Laura was silent for a long moment, mulling over my confession. I could see the gears spinning in her beady eyes before her nostrils twitched in surprise. The dosser proceeded to express relief, followed by a bout of laughter. She gave me an encouraging ear flick, which wasn't the reaction I was expecting. You're a human, she exclaimed. That explains everything. Why you're so closed off and peculiar. Oh, no offense. I wonder what you were all like. I recoiled in my pilot seat, hissing in disbelief. That was not the interpretation I intended for her to take. But I suppose it was a good cover. Perhaps that would lend an excuse for my social ineptitude, though it was unfair to the Terran's reputation. Humans were more than capable of chatting it up and mimicking emotions in appropriate ways. Farah is definitely going to have the wrong impression of humans. If she talked to one of them, she'd never have suspected a thing. I decided to not confirm or deny her assertion. What do you think of humans? Well, I think you'd befriend a species like the Dosser. We can't all be bad. Even the Orcs will recognize that we're crappy cattle, she answered. Oh, and I think that it's a crap that the crow cattle attacked your homeworld. I can see why you would have some balls up talking with an alien. Just saying, wasn't us. Wait, you're not going to be bothered by me being a predator. I'm not anything like an average human. To be frank, my emotions deviate far from the Terran baseline. You told me you deserved to be alone, and I'll assume it was because of that. I'm sorry that your culture made you feel that way. If you feel safe reaching out to me, I'm honored. I see. And the Federation, what do you think of them? I understand the whole cultural tempering, and that I should feel hatred. But honestly, we would have never industrialized without their uplift. How will we build great machines from scratch? Even walking, we use carts to traverse alien cities. I guffawed in spite of myself, picturing the screecher perched on a motorized stand. Balra made a valid point about the Dosser's debt to the Federation. Had those meddlers not noticed the native wildlife bore signs of sapience, Malu would be a different planet today. In their particular case, outside intervention was necessary to facilitate their advancement. Bora flashed her tiny front teeth. "Don't laugh at me. Let me guess, humanity will look down on us for our lives."
I cannot speak for Earth," I growled awkwardly. "My assessment is that many Terrans will want to pick you up or pet you. Humans think small animals are, cute.
But you don't.
I don't debase myself by infantilizing creatures. It's not something I've given active thought to."
"Tasty, are we?"
I am insulted by the premise, as if I could find an alien cute, and do that whole fawning expression and the baby voice.
"I wouldn't mind. I bet you could do it well. Please, show me this baby voice. No filter."
Very few herbivores try to rile up a predator.
"Well, I'm a special gal, Siffy. You're sure funny when you're fired up."
I'm tired of this conversation. I said I was only speaking for a little bit, and I don't want to hear from you for a few hours.
I hung up with a huff, refocusing on the landing protocols. Despite my best attempts to scare Farah off, I'd only seemed to invite provocation. With such important tasks ahead, I needed to quash whatever of my defective side had arisen. Prophet-descendant Giznil was hosting our meeting in an unmanned station, and he had just confirmed my docking request. Focusing on neutralizing my expression, I steeled myself for the Betterment's unavoidable demands. My shuttle coasted down at a leisurely pace. The time to clear my thoughts was welcome. If Giznil ever learned that I was befriending prey from my sector, he'd see that my head was removed from my shoulders. They could only be my fanatic persona among my people. Imagine how much better life would be if I were a human. I wouldn't have all of this, baggage to my name. The shuttle slotted in to the docking clamps, and I heaved a weary sigh. At least my disdain for Shazar didn't require acting. If I could persuade Giznil to withdraw from Silas, that would take the weight off of the UN's back. There was also valuable information that I could obtain for General Jones. It was my role to keep the Earth appraised of threats. Giznil was without a normal guards, and I contemplated whether I could get away with killing him. Betterment likely knew who he was meeting with today. He'd be replaced by a descendant not as partial to me. Assassination was a surefire way to blow my cover. I disembarked, dipping my head with respect.
"Yes, chauffeur. We are alone here," Giznil hissed. "I have important matters to discuss, free of lesser ears."
I narrowed my eyes.
"Hallowed prophet, drop the Venlet shit. I know everything."
The Dominion leader's proclamation chilled my bones, and the debate of whether to strike him down renewed my head. Giznil said on the call that he doubted my loyalty. He didn't believe that I was willing to clash with the Terrans. Perhaps General Jones had been right about me tipping my true allegiance off to Betterment. Was this the moment where I would be executed for my defectiveness?
"I don't know what you mean, your savageness,"
I growled evenly.
Giznil bared his teeth. "I think you do. I wondered why you coddle the humans, and I knew it was more than Shazar's report stated. You imitate them and chase after them at every turn. But now I get it. You think they're smarter than us." "I beg your pardon. You heard me. I couldn't make sense of it until I replayed our conversation during the prisoner execution. You talked about maximizing our resources and obtaining entire planets as our catch. I did. But I don't see you think the humans can solve all of our problems. You think they're smarter and they hunt in the optimal way. Those Cerulean pets you took were given to the Terrans to earn goodwill. Tell me I'm wrong, Isif." "No, I suppose you're not. Perhaps this is treasonous, but we could do better. The humans can feed us, and I can make it happen. There's the truth, then. We can conquer the Federation and go on our merry ways, yes? Stronger. Capable."
Fear surged my veins, but I met Giznil's stare with a feigned impassivity. The prophet-descendant was off on the extent of my motives, though he discerned some of the truth. Questioning Betterment was the highest form of treason. I had just admitted that I didn't think the Arxel way was the superior one. My champions were empathetic, leaf-licking predators. Why hadn't he signed me up for execution?
You're right that the humans could alleviate our food shortages, but you're wrong about it making the Dominion stronger,
Gisnell said. What? That wasn't what he was supposed to say. The prophet descendant heaved a sigh.
If we get fat and lazy, Isif, we will be susceptible to future attacks. But you don't appreciate what you don't have to struggle for. With due respect, the humans are a strong culture, and they're well-fed. A warrior culture. The humans have weak individuals, because they have a cushion to provide for them. What happens to betterment when the food problem is resolved? How do we keep the massives on the right path? True one, are you saying that you want our people to starve? Precisely. It keeps them dependent on us and hating the Federation. The prey aren't fully to blame for our woes, but the masses don't need to know that. You mean we don't try to solve the food problem? No, Isif. The prophets and our inner circle have kept the secret close to the vest. Never mention what I'm about to tell you to anyone. Yes.
It was difficult to process this rhetoric, but I tilted my head to show I was listening. The Federation had admitted their culpability. When Lyconis discussed the meat allergy serum, was Gisnell implying that betterment was complicit in the cure spread? That was not a logical conclusion, since the volunteers weren't weeded through the culling of the weak.
My silence can be counted on your savageness. I am honored, I managed.
Gisnell lashed his tail against the floor.
Very well. The Federation was fully responsible for the cure, which caused many Arxor to starve. The Northwest Bloc, under the Prophet's guidance, seized the moment to weaken the Morven Charter. How so? The cattle virus was unleashed on the Charter's livestock. By us! The cure was the perfect cover. We could blame it on the aliens and not break the truce. But it spread across our borders somehow. We lost our food to our own bioweapon. It wasn't all the Colchians, so billions of Arxor starved because of rivalries from the World War. Yes! And it was a blessing in disguise. It helped betterment solidify control. It made the entirety of the rest see things our way.
My more hunger gave as I fitted this new information into my past knowledge. That explained why Chief Lyconis had denied the cattle allegations during Seleni's interview. The Colchians had no part in slaughtering livestock with pathogens. The herbivores deserved our hatred, but the worst blow to Arxor civilization was self-inflicted. That entirely altered my perspective on why we were starving. It could have just been a few 100,000 volunteers killed by the cure. Instead, my entire race has been reduced to animals. I was livid at betterment offers for perpetrating such falsehoods. There were so many factions that could use this information. General Jones needed this on a desk promptly. The Arxor rebels, who were searching for fuel to resist betterment, could gain support too. Even non-defective citizens would seek consequences against those responsible for starvation. This revelation could destabilize the Dominion's grasp on society, just as Selani had crippled the Federation. Unfortunately, Gisnell wasn't stupid enough to blab about this to a reporter. I was his lone confidant, and I had no proof that such claims weren't Terran propaganda. Betterment could dismiss me as a human sympathizer if I spoke out to my peers.
So you see, we need to maintain the balance of power, Isif. If there was a surplus of food, that would spell the end for us,
Gisnell concluded.
I need you to limit your trade and infatuation with the humans.
I forced a neutral expression.
Of course, I would not wish to weaken betterment. You needed only to say as much. Good. As for ending the war, the Federation doesn't want the war to end any more than we do. The Colchians and the Fossil couldn't maintain control over such a large herd without an enemy. They hate us. They wish we didn't exist. Oh, of course they do. But there's a reason they teach the other prey to run away and never attack. If we press the Federation core worlds, I have a hunch they could muster up their numbers all of a sudden.
Gisnell's theory made gruesome sense. The longer I contemplated it, it explained why the Colchians mounted a bold-faced defensive on Terran allies, but never went after Dominion worlds and outposts. The United Nations wasn't content to raid a few planets and call it a day, nor did they plot a forever war for control. The humans sought peace and reconciliation, and that made them an immediate threat.
Tsar wants to destroy the Federation. Add in exposing the truth about omnivores. Humans set that in motion.
That theory holds water. I blinked my eyes, and my thoughts drifted to Falra. The Dosser were at risk of attack just for siding with the humans.
Mal cruelty helps the ringleaders keep the other prey afraid.
Gisnell chuckled to himself.
I knew you would get it, Isiv. You're more cunning than Shazar, so I'm asking you for a favor. Do you still think you can handle the humans? Of course I do. I am not Chief Hunter that lost my sector to them. Then handle this fecking mess. I want the Battle of Silas ended at once, with as many assets recovered as possible. If you think you can talk the monkeys into a truce, do it. Easy enough. It's not my sector, though. What do I do about Shazar's forces? They are your forces now. I'm putting her sector under your control, effective immediately. While you're getting a handle on the situation, dispose of Shazar. It will be handled, Crew One. I will summon my fleet and leave for Silas at once.
The Prophet Descendant watched with calculating eyes as I clambered back into my shuttle. The advice that endangered my cover had earned me greater power today. In retrospect, negotiating with the humans was a less humiliating option. There was a lot to unpack from the Dominion secrets, but my first order of business was eliminating Shazar. Getting the United Nations to cease hostilities would be the most difficult part. However, a continuing battle was not beneficial to Earth's cause. Humans were a spiteful bunch, but I'd try my best to find a diplomatic resolution. End of chapter. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons, Dragzoon W.R.E, Quantum Wednesday, Ambrose Cattell, Lord Ashrakal, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.